In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
Welcome into the No Off Days podcast. I'm Scott Smith. We got Chris Cato here to my left, and BK is in the booth. We'll grab him just in a moment. But last time I wore a tie on this podcast, it was our second annual Naughties. So
yes, we were all dressed up.
We usually don't dress it up, but of course, this would indicate, if you watched last week's episode, what went down this past weekend at Oakmont. It was not my favorite of the majors this year. I'll put it that way.
It was a tough watch. It was eyeball bleed for a while.
It was a tough watch, man. I mean, there's so many holes out there that were they were all challenging, right? Like birdies were few and far between. But just the greens were so punitive. First, the rough we already discussed.
Yeah.
Like once that stuff goes into the gunch, it's just like swallowed up by the grass. Where did it go? I see Bryson DeChambeau like ripping through it, and as strong as that guy, he's built like an ox. But it takes everything he has just to get it out of that rough. But the greens were so punitive. I think it was the third. Big green, right? So it's not like you're trying to hit it onto a postage stamp, but it's like this giant ramp, that's just made of glass.
It was like a hole in a putt-putt course where it's the one where you got to hit it up the hill, but your ball keeps rolling back.
Yeah, right, exactly. So you're like, I think that's for the free round at the end of your 18th hole.
Yeah, in the cloud's mouth. Yeah.
It's the most difficult one. But I just think this is our national championship of golf, right? And it should be. The USGA always prides itself on having a tough course to go up against, but it's just you got to have a balance. It has to be viewable. You have to bring in your top golfers in the world have to be in contention, and you just didn't have that. Hats off to JJ Spawn. He was fantastic, especially down the stretch, hitting some critical putts, and the walk-off putt on 18 was awesome. That was great. I'm happy for him, but it's just not what you want. You got to have Scheffler in there. He's got to win it.
You're just bitter that your guy.
Especially if I draft him. I don't know. All right, let's bring in BK. BK, did you do a little? Well, first off, how you doing? Because I know that we've had this last week was, you had a little procedure done.
A little bit lighter, but I'm good.
You look thinner. You look good.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it went well.
Good. All right, that's good. We take those type of things serious.
Yeah.
You need to take care of yourself. But anyway, before that happened, I know you had a chance to catch some of the U.S. Open this last weekend.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of tough, and it's not. I mean, you kind of want to see the guys struggle just a bit, but man, those greens, they were brutal, just unfair.
It was. Yeah, I know. But you guys, you're playing nice. You're acting like it was brutal. But you both actually won our little U.S. Open pool.
We tied.
You tied for the win, which meant that I would then. You guys obviously can't buy your own winning dinner, which was a burger, right?
A burger based on one of your golfers,
Daniel Berger, who actually looked pretty good early on. So that fell to me. So dinner's on me tonight, guys. We'll bring that in at the end of the show. We'll get you what you want.
Oh, I hope you got my
nice
order. No
burnt.
onions. No onions.
Tons
right?
of onions
Okay.
and extra burnt. Yeah.
So he and I have to share? Are we splitting a burger here?
I got you both a burger. All right.
Look
Golly.
at you spoiling us, dipping into the kiddie fun. And of course, his punishment was, we said the loser would have to wear a tie that the winner gave him from his collection. So Scott is wearing my sloth tie. It's got a little sloth on there. He says, "Don't worry, be happy," which I think is good advice for Scott every day.
I rarely worry, but I do like this tie that I can, when I wear a jacket over it, it's going to cover up your ugly sloth there. So
no jacket for you.
Very shiny. I thought you were going to make sure that I was wearing a Bama tie.
Well, I was hoping
you guys
would break out an Alabama bow tie.
You guys don't have an Alabama tie?
We don't.
How is that possible?
The family has let me down. At Father's Day, I've hinted many times.
Seems like the easiest
I want
gift.
a tie for Father's Day, okay?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, maybe that's what we do next time. We ask for a tie for the winner of the next tournament. So I think the British Open is coming up here in a few weeks. So
should it be a cravat then?
I don't know what that is.
It's not that thing that they wear around their neck. It's kind of floofy.
Yes,
wow.
A cravat is on the line. Very good. By the way, BK, I did want to mention your guru pick of our guy Sam Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Looked like it was holding strong for about 3.5 rounds, man.
He just gave out the last 5 holes.
Yeah, the 2-time Valspar winner. BK picked him in the
That was
draft.
a great pick.
I said, whoa. And sure enough, you knew what you were doing. So congrats to both of you guys. So burgers on the way. BK, what do we have coming up on today's program? We
got double header of guests. How about that? We got Alexi Lalas. He's been on before.
Legend.
Yeah, he's a friend of the program.
Friend.
We're going to be talking about the Gold Cup that's currently going on and get a look ahead to next year's World Cup. You know, the World Cup's coming here.
Ooh. I hope the men's team starts playing better.
Yeah, they got to right the ship a little bit. They top that Trinidad Tobago team. It's actually 2 teams in 1. You know that.
That's unfair.
Yeah, it is unfair. All right.
And then we also, if that was not enough, we got Jordyn Listro. Jordyn Listro. She's the midfielder of your league champion, the USL Super League champion, Tampa Bay Sun. How about that?
Yes, congrats to
the ladies.
Boat parade. Boat parade. It's happening. As we tape this, it hasn't happened yet, but that's happening
Looking
this
forward
week.
to that.
Yeah, congrats to them.
Man, that was a great game. That was exciting.
Okay, and at the end of the program, BK.
End of the program, we're going to, how about this? Word origins. We haven't done that in a while. You remember that where I give you a phrase and you try to tell me what the origin of these phrases are,
what
where they came
what it
from?
really means.
Yeah.
The origin is, okay.
I forget what that term is.
The cat out of the bag. Remember, it was a pig. People thought that you were getting a pig from the butcher, right?
Right.
But it was a cat
inside because there was so many cats. But not the pigs, were pricey.
I must have blacked out during that episode. I do not remember
I believe that was it. Was that it?
Something like
that.
I don't remember that one. That'll be fun.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, BK. By the way, I got his burger at Burger King because he's BK.
Hey, have it your way.
Yours is much better, though. Oh, all right. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, you can take out your phone and zap the QR code on the screen. Go to our show page. If you subscribe, we invite you to leave a 5-star review. fox13news.com/nodpod. The college football season never really stops for us, Chris. We always find something, some nugget, some morsel to chew on. And so, because it seems like every week, like college football commissioners are having some type of committee meeting, something. There's a lot of
decisions are being made sometimes.
Kind of reminds me, I once worked at a place where there was, it seemed like there was a meeting every day because everybody felt like they had to look busy, So meetings are the great disguise, It's like, oh, we're doing things. A
meeting to plan the next meeting.
A meeting for the next one. Anyway, so they got a meeting with D1 conference commissioners coming up in Asheville, North Carolina, and so there's a lot of things that are on the docket. All of these talking points are things that we would have interested in. Probably not so much our audience, but we're going to go through it nonetheless.
Make them interested.
How about this?
Yeah.
So one of those changes that I think is compelling is transfer portal changes. Okay, we have talked about this because you have multiple transfer portals that, right now as it sits, I believe you have 2 portals.
2 portal
so
windows,
you have April and December. Mm-hmm. And then if a team is going through a head coaching change, you got 30 days after that coaching hire has been made to then do another. So you could have as many as 3 in one offseason for teams. And it's way too much. It impacts bowl season, of course, and just way too much movement going on. So they obviously need to try to streamline this a little bit. So one of the things that they are suggesting, and you're getting like, SEC and Big Ten kind of on opposite ends here, is whether there should be a January portal date or an April portal date. So the Big Ten Conference really wants this April portal date. They say that it kind of aligns better with the academic school year. Plus, like there's something about their share revenue cycle. It comes to an end in June, and it better lines up with that. SEC says, that's hogwash. Like we want to do it in January because that is, once these bowl games are already done, now is the time to get ready for spring football. And so, the only issue is, I think there are a handful of issues, and both sides I think bring legitimate points up. Is we're dealing with them as we're trying to transition from amateur to pro, right? So do they have to have a new calendar, just like the pros do? Like they have a calendar that fits the football season.
Right.
So you have OTAs and mini camps and off-season training activities, and all these things are heavily regimented, but it's built around the actual football season, where football all these years, it had been built around the school year, not so much around off-season programs. But because they're now basically professional athletes, they're getting paid like it, that now the schedule needs to change. I'm more inclined to lean towards the Big Ten's proposal of waiting to the end of April. That just, to me, makes more sense because your athletes are then completing an entire school year rather than I mean, I know that nobody wants to talk about academics. That's not sexy when you talk about college football. But like you're leaving in the middle of the school year in order to then transfer out and go to someplace else, and that's just kind of a mess. Plus, you still have the national championship game, which is not going to wrap up until February. So teams that have obviously players are likely not going to leave if they're going to transfer from one of those two teams.
Well, they did last year. There were players on playoff rosters that were hitting the portal. Penn State's backup quarterback hit the portal.
Yeah, the goal, though, is like to me as a football fan and a viewer, I want the full team intact through the bowl season.
Yes.
If these bowl games are going to mean anything, I want to see the actual team, not a shell of a team that everybody's sitting out. Well, I don't know how you can control that. That's hard to do, but I don't know. I get the idea. Spring football, you want full steam ahead, but I think that if you wait till April, it actually disincentivizes transfers, which would be good. Like, I think we could probably agree to that. Like, it would be better if we had fewer transfers, if you had players that stuck around a little bit more. So it's a little bit more punitive if you leave in January or leave in April for a player, because now you're missing spring football, right?
Right.
So another solution that they're discussing is now, instead of having your traditional spring football window, now you slide it back to like May or June. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of lines up actually with the NFL season. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is I kind of like Kirby Smart's suggestion. The SEC, what the SEC wants is to have that transfer portal window in middle of January. You're done with the national championship game by then. And as a coach, you want to know what your roster is going to be going into spring football. You don't want to wait until after spring ball, then open the portal window. And because when you set out and you do a spring football season, you're essentially going to show your players where they stack up on the depth chart. And so if you go out and play a spring game or what have you, they're not really doing spring games anymore. But if a player gets the sense that he's not the starting running back or not the starting quarterback, he's going to hit the portal. So I'd rather that happen in January so that I know what I have on my roster going into spring football.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I understand that, but then it becomes really about spring football and all the other stuff gets kind of left by the wayside. So I'm just trying to keep some type of integrity, but that these are actually this is a college that they're representing, Yeah,
but a lot of these guys, I mean, academics, I know that, and the Big Ten's making that point that they want it tied to the academic calendar, but how many of these guys are really actively, I mean, I know that they're, quote, enrolled, but is that really such a huge obstacle that they can't overcome, like transfer, say they've got to transfer credits or whatever it is to another school if they're going to transfer? I mean, that happens all the time. I don't see why that's such a big stumbling block.
Well, I just think fewer moving parts throughout the school year is better. So if we can keep your team, your players intact through the school year, you get to the end of that second semester, the spring semester, then that makes sense to transfer at that point. But, I get it. Spring football is important. All right, the other big talker that they continue to address here is the college football playoff model. And this is another point where the SEC and the Big Ten are coming to a head, because I think both sides would agree to some fashion of a 5+11 model. So 5 automatic bids, 5 highest ranked conference winners, and then 11 teams after that. Right. So the only issue is that the SEC only has 8 conference games. So the SEC is not going to go to some type of 9 conference team schedule if they don't get the automatic qualifiers, and because that's obviously going to hurt their strength of schedule. Meanwhile, the Big Ten is saying, well, we want the automatic qualifiers as well, but we also want you to play 9 games. So there's like this, they're kind of at a head here, and I hate the automatic qualifiers. Like, I don't think that...
I don't like it either.
I don't think that, even though those two are obviously the 2 preeminent conferences in college football, I just don't think that I think it undermines what the whole point of the playoff is.
Exactly.
Which is like to have every team has a legit shot. Mm-hmm. But again, how do you gauge strength of schedule? How do you really measure it? And right now we have a committee that takes into account strength of schedule, but it's not a computer system. It's not the BCS. A lot of commissioners have said, and ADs have said, you can change the metric, you can weigh it differently, but at the end of the day, it's still going to require a judgment call. So it's not going to be full strength of schedule to determine who's in. That's not going to be it. So I just think, man, the strength of schedule, it should change. We should want it to change. And I think what the SEC is saying is like, I think you just need to acknowledge us as the hardest
that's
conference,
what they're wanting.
The strength of schedule. And so, that's going to – so as you take into consideration those playoff teams, you just need to make sure the SEC is in.
Yeah, really chafed the SEC last season when Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina didn't get selected, and you had teams like Indiana who had played a fairly soft schedule that were in the playoff, and some other teams too like that, right? And then they came out during their coaches meetings in Destin a few weeks ago and handed out this Greg Sankey had this memo that he handed out to the media called the Gauntlet or something like that, to try to make that point that no other conferences play a schedule like this. And I get why he's saying that. I understand that. As an SEC fan, I understand that. And here's why I hope that they will agree to tweak this metric that they're using, how much they're weighing strength of schedule into the playoff selection process, because if the SEC is going to remain at 8 games, I want to, and we've talked about this before, I want the regular season to be as good as it can. And we know that we get some dog SEC non-conference games, Cupcake Saturday we've called it, Bama's playing Mercer, Georgia's playing Kennesaw State, that kind of thing. I feel like if you will weigh strength of schedule heavier, that would keep some of these great games that we're getting this season in place, where you've got Texas playing Ohio State, you got LSU playing Clemson, because Alabama opening with Florida State. Because if you're going to tell me you're not going to value strength of schedule, and I've only got 8 conference games, then I'm going to just go out and schedule a couple more cupcakes, and I don't want that.
I get it, but the problem is they do consider strength of schedule.
Well,
I mean, the problem is if you are on the short end of that stick, it's never enough. It's like they didn't measure it enough this last year. That's what everybody's going to go on. But you really don't know strength of schedule until the end of the year, right? So, like, we could sit here and just assume that the SEC is going to have the hardest strength of schedule, but here we are in June, and we don't really know.
But they don't pick the playoff teams until the end of the year, so that's perfect.
Well, precisely, but it's still going to come down to some level of subjectivity by some type of committee to have to decide, And so we are at their mercy, and I don't see another way around it. Yes, strength of schedule certainly should matter. It shouldn't just be straight outcome. It never has been. Strength of schedule has mattered and has come into play, but I think the problem is that the Big Ten and the SEC live in a world where it's just the Big Ten and the SEC that really ultimately matter. And so the teams have to be coming out of there. And I get it. Most of the best teams in the country are residing in those 2 conferences. But it's right now. It's 2025. I don't want to put rules into place that are going to limit other teams and other conferences from having breakout seasons. And it seems like they're committed to that. And this is the problem you get when you have this 2-headed snake now.
Yeah.
You have no governing body. It's just the SEC and the Big Ten, and they're fighting over a bigger slice of the pie. And that's it'd be nice if you had a governing body. It would be nice. We don't have that.
We do not.
Speaking of governing body, in bigger news, finally the Competitive Eating Association, I believe it's called what's it called? The World Eating Federation, something like that.
Sounds good.
They came to their senses, and Joey Chestnut is back in the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest on July 4th at Coney Island. This is something, as a good red-blooded American, you can get behind, right?
This is America. Yes, this is what we needed.
Its best.
Show of hands if anyone actually watched the Nathan's competition last year without Jaws in it.
No,
I certainly didn't.
Not.
You want to see, if this is Tiger Woods in his prime, you want to see him. If this is Michael Jordan in his prime, this is last
year's 12-team playoff without Alabama.
Oh yeah, well,
right?
We did have to live through that. It would be like leading Ohio State out. It was sad last year. I feel like the guy who won don't have the number of dogs in front of me, but it was like
I do.
Okay,
actually.
I should have known.
He won 50. He had 58 in 10 minutes. Which is great. That's probably about 57 more than I could do in 10 minutes. No, I could probably.
You could do.
I could probably handle about 4. Yeah, at least. But in the Netflix special that Joey Chestnut did, I think he downed like 83 dogs against Kobayashi.
He did
in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah. I mean, 58's a bad day for Joey. If Joey only ate 58, something is wrong with him.
Yeah. So I was watching an interview that he had leading into this, and he's saying that if the conditions are right, that he's hoping to hit 80.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the magic number for the contest. And I thought, conditions are right. What kind of conditions could there? What kind of conditions come into play? if it's a breezy day, if it's a little bit colder, a little bit more humid, does that impact your?
I don't know. I'm thinking moisture. You know, they dip the buns in the water, so maybe if there's less moisture in the air, you've got to soak your bun longer. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Soaked buns. I don't know, but I'm excited to see it. This man is the Herculean task that he takes on every year. I would be curious to see what his training regimen really looks like. He said that he's currently fasting, so he must fast and then just pound 100 hot dogs and then not eat for a month. I don't know how it works.
Has anyone tracked the average lifespan of these competitive eaters?
We're finding out in real time.
This cannot be good.
It can't be good for you, and yeah, and nobody likes actually watching it, but it's a spectacle. It's the Jerry Springer show for one afternoon on the 4th of July.
A human trash compactor.
Yes.
We will all be watching it now with Joey back in it. I guess he's not sponsoring the plant-based dogs anymore?
So I don't think so. I think that partnership dissolved, and that's why he's now back, ready to munch on some Nathan's hot dogs. And we are celebrating this. I will wave the old glory proudly as Joey Chestnut takes center stage yet again. Everybody nobody else even has a chance.
I know.
It's just, they should just turn and start watching as that hot dog shrapnel starts flying everywhere. Oh, it's so gross. All right, coming up next, we're going to catch up with a USA icon. I don't know if he'd ever compete in a hot dog eating competition.
I don't think he would.
But he was pretty good on the pitch, and he certainly is one of the best analysts in the game. Alexi Lalas is next on the No Off Days podcast. It is an all-soccer show this week on the nodpod, Chris, and we are in the middle of the Gold Cup here on Fox and rooting for Team USA to get it done, but of course our eyes are fixed on next year as the World Cup comes to the Americas, and is this the year that the U.S. is going to make a nice, deep run and potentially win it all? There's talent, but there is some cause for concern, as we've seen on the pitch lately. For more on that, let's discuss the matter with one of the best in the game to cover this sport. That is Alexi Lalas.
All right. In the NFL, we've seen Super Bowl winning teams go into, winless preseasons. Conversely, I remember the 2008 Detroit Lions. I believe they went undefeated in the preseason, and then they went 0-16 in the regular season. So I don't know if the parallels are right there, but can you take a similar view when you look at the U.S. men's national team and these struggles that they're going through right now as it relates to next year's World Cup?
Yeah, look, a year out from not just a World Cup, but a home World Cup, and an incredible opportunity, and I guess a responsibility too. And I think it's completely fair, the criticism right now that this team is getting, given the recent failures and poor results. I think more concerning is a general apathy towards this team at a time when I think the trajectory should be upward and wonderful positive momentum going forward. Now, I can think back to, way back in the 1900s before you were around and I was running around. If I think back to, for example, the summer of '93 before the '94 World Cup, that group in the summer of '93 changed a lot in that one year. And so changes can happen. As fast as this is going to come, 2026, changes can happen. I think they have to happen. And when I say changes, not necessarily or not only changes in personnel, but change in attitude, because we have to believe that this team is worth our blood, sweat, and tears, that this team makes us believe that they can do something special next summer. And right now, there's a lot of people that are concerned. So Mauricio Pochettino, the new coach, they're paying him a boatload of money. You got to get it right. And, the situation with Christian Pulisic and all these different things, I think it's going to be okay. This Gold Cup this summer, I think, is important to kind of ignite or reignite that belief in this team. But then over the next year, you got to make sure that we are heading into 2026 with the most positive vibes that we can. And right now, that's not what's going on.
Yeah, I wonder if the kind of the reign of booze in Nashville, if that impacts a team in a way that just a loss on the pitch wouldn't. Like, if that sticks with the individual moving forward, do you think that could draw more out of this team, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have faith, but not blind faith. And I think that faith at times also has to be continually earned. And so, yeah, whether it's the booze at the stadium, we live in an age of social media, and don't think for a second that they don't hear everything that is being said right now. and doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have an impact. But I do think in a good way, in a strange silver lining way, it's important for this group, and by extension, all of the players, whether they're in this Gold Cup team or not, to hear and to understand that we are demanding more from them. And I think it's fair to demand more from these players because of all of the opportunities that they've been given. And I don't begrudge them that. I'm actually incredibly proud that they have so many more opportunities and pathways, whether it's the resources, whether it's the pathways to play in Europe and different places that my generation just didn't have. That's progress. That's evolution. But with that comes higher expectations. And I think that they, at times, have failed to live up to those expectations. And that's on them. And that they hear it from people, that's a good thing. Sometimes you need to be reminded that, you have this responsibility. And if you're not living up to it, sometimes you need to be reminded on a continual basis that, no, this is not good enough. This is not what we expect. And we are in danger of wasting that opportunity that is the World Cup. I'm talking to you today because of the 1994 World Cup. And I lived that power. And the 1999 World Cup, in terms of the way the Women's World Cup and the 94 World Cup changed the game. They were seminal moments. We have another opportunity next summer in 2026. We can't afford to waste it.
If there was one trait that you could just magically infuse into this team with your supernatural powers, what would that be?
So I think as we have evolved as a soccer playing nation, we have, and this is kind of understandable, thrown some of the baby out with the bathwater. And so whether it's, the reliance on set pieces, whether it's bend but don't break, but more so, the physical nature, that should be non-negotiable, right? That should always be there. And so I come up consistently with this word, a ruthlessness, okay? And that type of ruthlessness in play and in action, I think, is necessary right now. Where, we had 2 years of training for the '94 World Cup. And, so oftentimes that moment is kind of looked on with this kumbaya type of spirit, but it was mean and nasty, and you were fighting for one of those 22 places. And while you had relationships and they were positive, and these were your friends, these were also your competitors. And I didn't want to let anybody take it. They could pry it out of my cold, dead, red-headed hands, And I think that type of ruthlessness is a trait that some people are just born with it, some people develop it, and some people just don't have it. But that's the way that this camp should be. That's the way every camp should be relative to what's happening next summer. Because if and when you are there next summer, that platform is an incredible opportunity to show your wares, if you want to put it like that. And if you let somebody come along and take it, that's on you.
I know that we're kind of quick, as a society, to come to a verdict on everything, but Pochettino and what he's been able to do so far, I know this is not the start you want, but how much do you think he actually has a handle on what his own team is capable of at this point?
So first off, when you're talking about Pochettino, I think, he is an incredibly accomplished coach, a very sexy name, part of the reason why he was hired, but also has no experience when it comes to the international game. And one of the biggest challenges for any coach going from club to international is, in a club situation, you're coaching every single day, and you have this ability over weeks, over months, sometimes over years, to develop your team. And in an international situation, you're coming in, sometimes you have 2 days, if that, to impart whatever information you want. So you kind of have to dumb it down and be very efficient in what you tell them. So he's got to be able to get over that. I do think that his wheels are probably spinning right now, and some of the stuff that he is seeing, and he's getting a wake-up type of shot here as to what he has at his disposal, what he doesn't have at his disposal. But he took the gig. As I said, they're paying him a lot of money, so he needs to fix this. He needs to course correct this, and whether that means doing big, bold things or just tweaking some things here or there in order to get them back in the right direction, that's what he's being paid for, and that's what he needs to do. And if he doesn't do that, while he may go on to other stuff, this will forever be on his resume, and we will remember that. And I want to see him succeed. I don't want to see him, like the players, waste this opportunity. But, time's a ticking. A year is going to go by like that. And so you better have the things in place that you are going to do, whether it's changes on the field or off the field, to make this team better so that come next summer when that whistle blows, that we can believe in this team. Like I said, that there's a possibility of them doing something great.
And we wanted to see some of that momentum start to build, obviously, with the Gold Cup. You know, I'm curious, just bigger picture, like, since you've been a part of this, with the World Cup stage coming to the Americas and how enormous the audience is and what that's going to do, I'm just curious, like, as a nation, like, what can an event like this do in our own backyard, assuming that, you know, our team that's drawing us all together is you know, kind of peaking at that right time.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, the seminal moments of 1994, the Men's World Cup, and 1999, the Women's World Cup, I still get people coming up to me and saying, hey, that summer of 1994, it completely changed the way that I think about soccer. And what a World Cup is an opportunity to bring people into a tent. And we recognize that some are just going to stay there for the World Cup and then they're going to go on and maybe, you know, never see it. But a lot of them might be infected in the best, most positive way with this game. And once it gets in you, it's hard to get out, right? And so many of them will stay. And again, don't let anybody tell you that America isn't a soccer country. Don't let anybody tell you that America isn't a soccer culture. As a matter of fact, I think we need to lean into it much more. Yes, it's unique and different relative to our past, but I would argue that the American soccer culture is as passionate, maybe more so, discerning, educated, because we've had to be, ultimately, because it's a very different type of sport in a country where soccer has not been king. And so what the World Cup can do is provide an incredible injection in that moment to bring people into that tent. And like I said, some of them will stay, some of them will leave, but the ones that stay, many, many years from now, when I'm long gone, there might be someone like me talking about how, everything changed in the summer of 2026 in the way that I looked at soccer, the way that I thought about my country relative to soccer. And who knows, maybe that person that's going to lead us to more World Cups, whether it's a young boy or a young girl, their eyes might be wide open when they see what comes to the country next summer.
Looking forward to it. I appreciate you spending some time with us this morning, and can't wait to see this Gold Cup action get going.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. You know, have well, no, a little fear, but have no fear, all right? It's going to be okay.
We are not done talking soccer. We're going to hit the pitch because on the local side of things, we have another team in Tampa Bay getting it done. Boat parade time.
Tampa Bay Sun.
How about that? 1 year, 1 championship. Man, does it get any better than that? Shooting 100%. We're going to catch up with Jordyn Listro, captain of this Sun team, next. Big championship won last week by the Tampa Bay Sun FC, year number 1. The ladies getting it done on the pitch. They even have these renderings. Have you seen the renderings for the new stadium?
Oh, it looks glorious.
I mean, the Rays are sitting there going, wait, what? That was our spot. What are you doing? Tampa is the home of renderings. That is for sure. We got a lot of those. But we have a championship-winning team as well. Earlier this week, got a chance to catch up with Jordyn Listro. She's the captain of the Tampa Bay Sun.
I got to know, what was the celebration like following the big win over the weekend?
Oh, I mean, it's just been event after event so far. We won, and then our owners treated us to a night out at M-Bird, which is one of our favorite places in Tampa at Armature Works right by the stadium. So all our family and friends were able to join us there. And then we actually had a dinner last night at one of our owners' restaurants, which was really good. That was fun. And then tomorrow we actually have a boat parade. So we're all super excited about that.
Yeah, I gotta ask you about that boat parade, because I mean, I know you're plenty familiar with I guess it's now a Tampa Bay tradition, right? If you win a championship, you got to hit the water. So what are you anticipating or expecting come tomorrow?
I actually was at the Lightning one in 2021 with my parents, just walking the Riverwalk, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I'm hoping that ours is similar to that. But honestly, just to say thank you to all the fans. I mean, they've been incredible all season long. So if we're able to celebrate and party with them, I mean, that's the best part.
So to have been able to accomplish this year 1, remarkable in and of itself, but long season, and you contrast practice number 1 with where you guys ended up over this last weekend. Just describe kind of the growth with this team throughout the course of this long season.
Yeah, I think we came in preseason and it was just brand new for everyone. I mean, nobody has ever played together before, and it was brand new coaching staff. So there was a lot of growing pains at the start. We knew on paper that our roster was so talented, and you saw that in the training sessions individually. I mean, we were all performing, but we couldn't really piece it together. And it took a while, a lot longer than we had hoped. But I think the Christmas break kind of really helped. It was a break in the season where we could reflect on the first half and kind of choose important aspects of the game that we wanted to work on come the spring. So that little break gave us the opportunity to do that. And then I think in the spring, it took us a couple games to get going. We had a formation change, which I think really helped our team. And then you kind of just saw us take off and, get wins when it mattered most.
Yeah, prior to Tampa, you were with the Orlando Pride, and Denise Schulte-Brown, of course, was your coach at USF. Did she personally recruit you? What was that phase like when she's like, "Hey, we're launching a new team out here in Tampa Bay"? I mean, was she the one that kind of personally thought, "Hey, we got to have Jordyn on the team"?
Yeah, I just love Florida, and I'm so passionate about this state. So playing in Orlando was great, but Tampa has always kind of been home for me. So when I heard like whispers here and there about a team coming, I mean, it sparked my interest right away. And then she actually had a couple of interviews, and she was telling me that she was interviewing for this role, and I had no idea, when the team would be established or anything. So once she got the job, I mean, that really kind of solidified my decision just because we have such a great relationship. And then I think the recruiting kind of started from there. But I remember just being on breakout room calls that the owners had put out, and they were just trying to make a name for the team. And at that time, I was so passionate about having a professional women's soccer team in Tampa that I didn't know if I'd be on it, but I wanted to help in any way possible. So yeah, it's just really come full circle, and it's been incredible.
So, this great riverfront stadium has served its purpose, and, beautiful location, ideal right in the heart of Tampa. But I'm sure you've seen the renderings at this point of the idea down the road. No time frame for it, but when you look at those images, what do you think?
I mean, I get goosebumps truly to not only have a professional women's soccer team in Tampa, but now to have a stadium built for us and for women. It just shows the growth of the sport over all these years and our incredible ownership group. I mean, investing in us and believing in us and allowing, young girls in Tampa to be able to achieve their goals, because now it's actually something that they're able to do. Didn't exist before.
So you mentioned you went to the Lightning boat parade when they won the championship. I got to ask you about your husband, Christian DeMarco, professional golfer, made a bold clothing choice recently at the RBC Canadian Open. So he's rocking a Lightning sweater. I'm sure he heard exactly. Did he get the reaction he was planning?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a Leafs fan, so I was like, what are you doing? You're in my hometown of Toronto. Like, just support our team. But he's friends with Alex Killorn, and he's Canadian, so I think that helps a little bit. But no, definitely the reaction that he wanted. He loves the Lightning, so he was proud to wear that jersey.
Have fun out on the waters tomorrow. I hope that many people come out and celebrate alongside you, but congratulations for all that you guys accomplished here in year number 1.
Thank you.
Chris, she is a Toronto native, so that's why she's a Leafs fan, but I do love that they have enough love for the Bolts to go into enemy territory. And, Christian, hats off to you rocking that Lightning sweater.
Yeah, he knew that he was going to get some hate for that, but he did it anyway.
It was tough. This is kind of Lightning blue a little bit.
It's a little bit.
Yeah. All right, coming up on the other side, BK's got a new game it's an old game, but it's been a while since we played it. The origin of, phrases? A little turn of phrases?
A little etymology, I believe it is.
Etymology.
Or is that the study of insects?
That too, plus some burgers next on the Nod.
Insect burgers.
Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast, and
I'm ready to eat. Yeah. I'm hungry.
You can smell the burger.
Where's
fresh
my feast?
Fresh off the grill.
Did you grill these yourself?
No, I did not. I went to a local establishment, but they're not a sponsor of the show, so
we will not mention.
You don't have to mention them. But yeah, hopefully it's to your liking. And I dropped off BK's burger as well. But we'll get to that momentarily. Let's bring in BK. Brian, you've got a fun etymology game for us. Is that the study of ants or words?
This will be the study of phrases more than words. I'll give you a phrase, and you tell me where in history this phrase originated from.
Okay.
Pretty fun, guys,
Feeling
right?
Good. I've had a really bad streak recently of games, and so I feel
you're going to crush this one.
Well, you'll have this one. First one's very simple. The walls have ears. The walls have ears. Where's that originate from?
The walls have ears. Well, I mean, it obviously has to do with your walls being too thin, and so people in the next room could hear conversations that were taking place. But I think it is probably some type of like spy setting or war setting where, like military plans are being drawn up in one room or one tent, and then outside the tent you don't know who lingers. So that's where I'm going.
Okay, I'm going to go just complete architecture here and say that this was a term that they used to describe there was a wall around an ancient city, and there was a certain style of architecture where you had these large turrets on either end. And at night, when the sun was setting behind the city walls, it looked like the wall had ears. Anywhere close there?
Wow, that was very elaborate.
You're both actually very, very close. There's like two possible origins here. Cato, you're real close. The one that everybody says is the most popular is in the Louvre there in Paris.
Oh, the Louvre that they can't even open now.
Well, look at her ears. Would you look at those ears that she's got? She's got little...
That's Queen, let me see if I can get this, Catherine de Medici.
Oh, yeah. So the de Medici lineage.
Yeah.
Who said, so you had holes in the walls so she could listen to everything that people were saying in different rooms, so her political rivals, and so she can uncover. But also it says there's a Greek, and I'm going to butcher this name, Greek Dionysus or something like that? Dionysus. There you go. Thanks, Sean. He said that there was constructed a cave in the shape of an ear so he could do the same thing, listen to rivals. Lovely. So both of you, I'll give you both a point on that.
Yes.
Now wait, why did I get a point? You didn't say anything about architecture
would
there.
You drink
but
this
there was a
hemlock,
cave that was
please?
shaped like an ear, so...
It reminds me of, have you ever heard the story of Sarah Winchester? There's the Winchester Mystery House in California.
Oh, yeah.
That's like right down the street from where I grew up. And so she was very superstitious, and she was, into all kinds of weird things. But one of the things, she always felt like that there was people listening, and so she had stairs that went to the ceiling.
Oh, I've seen
that house. She was trying to, there was like evil
all
spirits
these hidden passages and everything.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me. I think. Yeah, back in the day, you didn't trust people. That's why it would have helped if they had like Yelp reviews, back then, because then it's like, this
servant can be trusted.
He only has like a 2.5 star. Read all these comments about.
He's always stealing. He's got giant ears. He's always listening to.
You can't trust a guy with giant ears. Okay, next one.
Turn a blind eye. Where's that come from? Turn a blind eye.
Turn a blind eye.
And we use
take
that
this first.
Well, I'm trying to think, how do we use that these days, modern days? We say,
like you didn't see it.
Look, I know that, he made that mistake there, but let me turn a blind eye to that.
Overlook something.
Overlook something.
I think it usually has to do with you turn a blind eye to something that is bad that's taking place that you don't want to punish, right? Or you don't want to call out, so you let it go on, and usually you're like an accomplice in that. If you turn a blind eye to something that's going on, whatever that was is something that was probably deserves some type of punishment. So
you're kind of participating in the...
Well, you're definitely an accomplice if you turn a blind eye to something. I think it probably... Did it have to do with state execution?
State execution, no.
Okay, no. Did it have to do with...
did it have to do with a card game?
Queen de Medici, I believe, she not only had giant ears, but she was also blind. Is that true?
Close.
Okay.
Well, no wonder her sense of hearing was enhanced. I don't know, Brian. These are very difficult. Okay, I'm going to say that this has to do with, the ancient belief that the eye is the window to the soul.
Nice.
You had someone could give you the evil eye. And when someone was giving you the evil eye, you wanted to turn your blind eye to that and block out the evil. Something like that. I don't know.
Very good, Cato, but that's not it.
Okay, then that's not very good.
It believes the phrase originates from naval hero Horatio Nelson. He had a blind eye, right? So he would look through his telescope with that blind eye. That way he was able to avoid signals from his superior officer who wanted him to stop the battles. Horatio said, no, I'm not going to see the signals stop. So he's going to lead his troops, and he went on to win that war.
Okay, all right.
So he turned a blind eye to his
Pretty
superior.
sure these first 3 examples are things that we would have never gotten in a million years.
Yeah, you would have.
I've never heard of Admiral Nelson.
Horatio Nelson.
Horatio Nelson.
Yeah, Horatio Sands. I saw him on SNL, and he lost a lot of weight, but he was very funny back in the day. Yeah, all right. Do you have anything that's a little bit lighter that maybe is something in the ballpark that we can...
How about give the cold shoulder?
Okay.
Give the cold shoulder.
Give the cold shoulder. Okay, so bread lines. Very cold. Money is worthless. Inflation, obviously people are waiting in lines, and people would shoulder each other out in these cold bread lines to get to the front, right? So it's like I don't care about you at all. I'm gonna just, even like family members, like people that, hey, can I cut in line to get bread? It's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with my shoulder and knock you out of line, and so I can get my bread.
Right. Blood might be thicker than water, but it's not thicker than my cold shoulder.
There you go. Take that.
Yeah. All right. That was elaborate. This is something to do with the spouse is mad at you, right? And she has been lying there just stewing all night about this horrible thing you said or did or both, and she sleeps on her side. She's a side sleeper. And the side
you
of
pump the air conditioning to what, like 72?
Yeah, it's down to it's hotel room cold in your house because of you always fight over the thermostat. You keep it really cold. She's up there. She's a side sleeper. She's got her warm shoulder as the side that's on the bed. The cold shoulder is up there. It's
that's
exposed.
That's for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know why she didn't put pajamas on. That's her bad call.
Right.
Maybe she was trying to be, I don't know, something a little romantic for you. But when you come to bed, she's so mad that she, instead of sticking her cold feet under you like she always does, she also jams that cold shoulder into you.
Yeah.
And then you go sleep on the couch. Am I close?
You're nowhere near close, man.
Wow.
It's actually, you both think it's something to do rude. It's actually something to be polite. It's a polite. So, yeah, during medieval times in England, after everyone was done feasting, the host would give his guest a cold piece of meat from the shoulder or of beef or pork, whatever.
Well, that's basically what I said. It was,
has
the wife's cold shoulder is a cold piece of meat. And,
it's showing that it's time for everyone to leave.
That's what I'm going to do at the end of the show. I'm going to give you guys a cold piece of meat.
No, I want it warm.
It's been sitting here the whole time.
Oh, man, I did terrible at that game.
Y'all did great. That's a tough game, man.
I feel embarrassed.
I think the game stinks. That game me did.
That was my brain hurts.
It does. Okay. Metallica song or no?
Horse.
All right, it's time to eat, BK. You got your burger in there. Please describe to the audience how you requested it, and did it come as you requested?
Let's see. So, I requested
in tinfoil
from this establishment that we won't name. I wanted the. Oh, you got me a double. Did you give me a double?
Well, I didn't want to pay for a double. I specifically said single. But if that's 2 patties,
they gave me a double. Thank you, establishment I can't name, for giving me a double. I'm a basic guy, so I got the cheese, I got the pickle, I got the mustard, and I got barbecue sauce.
Okay, that's not basic. Like, who gets mustard and barbecue sauce on a hamburger?
I mean, I didn't get any garden on it. I guess that's what I mean by basic.
Yeah, but that's those 2 things.
Yeah,
mustard and barbecue
tastes great.
sauce.
Yeah,
okay.
Don't knock it until you tried it.
Brian, what's on? Did you have? There should be bacon on there. I paid for bacon.
Let's see.
Mine?
No, on Chris's.
There's no bacon on mine.
Oh my gosh.
No, it is. Oh, wait, it's under the bottom. They put it in a weird. Do you guys put your bacon on?
Bacon goes on the top.
Do you guys put bacon on the bottom? I always put it on top. Yep. Okay, here we go. Let's get into this thing. And this is because BK and my golfers did so great. We had a plus 17.
Plus 17,
wow.
tied for, we took the top 3 scores, and you guys won. And thanks to Corey Connor's withdrawing, I was out. I was out of the running. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Brian, I know they just cleaned you out and get ready to get clogged up again. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
This is juicy. Thank you.
Good. Oh, well, you guys deserved it. Congratulations. We've all now won a golf draft this year. So there's that.
Oh, we got one more.
We got one more for all the marbles. Hopefully we can figure out our tiebreaker system between now and then.
I'm not picking Sepp Straka. I can tell you that.
Oh, boy. He's ready for a bounce back. All right. Much thanks to our guests, Alexi Lalas Jordyn Listro. Congrats to the son yet again. Much thanks to our crew here in Nodpod headquarters. We got Rochelle over here on the jib. We got Chris on the 1s and 2s. We got Ronnie. I saw him back there on the audio board when I was dropping off a burger, and he looked at me like with this look like, can I have a bite? And I said, no, stay in your audio booth. No, I didn't say that. Much thanks to Chris and BK. I'm Scott. Until the next time we're on, there are no off days.
I said no sesame seeds, though. No sesame seeds.
You can pick them off one by one.